Before the metaverse hype, before blockchain-powered avatars and virtual land speculation, there was a pioneer, a digital frontier called Second Life. It wasn't just a game, it was a bold experiment in virtual existence. Millions flocked to its shores, drawn by the promise of limitless creation, boundless connection, and a digital life. A life. It was hailed as revolutionary, transformative, the future of online interaction. For a fleeting moment, it felt like we were stepping into a new era. But then, the dream faded, the vibrant world slowly emptied, the promise unfulfilled. How did Second Life, the virtual world that showed us the path to the metaverse, inadvertently pave its own road to ruin? How did it, in a sense, kill itself? Join us as we explore the fascinating and cautionary tale of Second Life. The year was 2003. The dot-com bubble had burst, but the internet's potential still shimmered brightly. Into this landscape, Philip Rosedale and Linden Lab launched Second Life. It wasn't marketed as a game, and that was key to its initial appeal. It was presented as a platform, a digital society waiting to be built by its users. And build they did. Residents weren't just players, they were creators, entrepreneurs, artists, educators, and social beings. They built virtual businesses, from clothing boutiques and virtual real estate agencies to nightclubs and educational institutions. They formed communities around shared interests, hobbies, and even real-world affiliations. Second Life hosted virtual concerts, political rallies, academic lectures, and even religious services. Brands like Coca-Cola, Adidas, and Reuters rushed to establish a presence, seeing it as the next frontier of marketing and engagement. Universities explored using it for online learning. News outlets like the BBC and CNN reported on its burgeoning virtual economy and social phenomena. For a brief but brilliant period, Second Life was not just virtual world. It felt like virtual world, the one that would redefine how we interact online. It was a digital El Dorado, promising riches and experiences beyond the confines of the physical world. Early adopters were evangelists, convinced they were witnessing the dawn of a new digital civilization. However, the utopian vision of Second Life began to encounter harsh realities. The platform, ambitious in its scope, was built on technology that, by today's standards, was quite primitive. The promise of boundless creation collided with the limitations of early 2000s internet infrastructure and personal computers. Technical issues became increasingly prominent and frustrating. Server lag became endemic, especially in popular areas. Avatars would glitch, textures would fail to load, and the immersive experience would frequently break down, shattering the illusion of presence. Content moderation, always a challenge in user-generated spaces, became a Sisyphean task. Griefing, harassment, and the proliferation of inappropriate content became increasingly difficult to control, driving away users and damaging the community atmosphere. The user interface, while powerful in its depth, was also incredibly complex and unintuitive. New users faced a bewildering array of tools and options, leading to a steep learning curve and high dropout rates. Many potential residents were simply overwhelmed and gave up before they could even begin to explore the world's potential. As these cracks widened, the initial enthusiasm began to wane. The digital El Dorado started to feel less like paradise and more like a buggy, confusing, and sometimes hostile frontier. While Second Life struggled with its internal growing pains, the external landscape of the internet was undergoing a seismic shift. The era of Web 2.0 was dawning, and with it came a new breed of online platform social media. Platforms like MySpace and then Facebook offered a fundamentally different online experience, one centered around social connection, easy content sharing, and instant gratification. They were simpler, more accessible, and crucially, they met users where they were, increasingly on mobile devices. Mobile gaming, too, exploded onto the scene, offering instant entertainment, short bursts of engagement, and games designed for quick play on the go. Second Life, in contrast, was a time-consuming commitment, requiring dedicated PC hardware and significant effort to learn and navigate. The internet audience was fragmenting. The casual user, drawn to the simplicity and immediacy of social media and mobile apps, was less likely to invest the time and effort required to fully engage with Second Life. The platform, once seen as the future, began to feel increasingly like a relic of a bygone era, a desktop-bound dinosaur in a rapidly mobile world. While Second Life maintained a dedicated core user base, its growth plateaued, and the cultural conversation moved on to these newer, shinier, and more accessible online experiences. The tide of internet trends was turning, and Second Life found itself swimming against the current. Beyond the shifting external landscape, many within the Second Life community point to internal missteps and missed opportunities as key factors in its decline. Linden Lab, despite presiding over a groundbreaking platform, appeared to struggle with strategic vision and execution in the face of rapid technological change. Users consistently voiced desires for improvements that were slow to materialize, or never arrived at all. The user interface remained stubbornly complex, even as simpler and more intuitive interfaces became the norm online. Mobile access, crucial for reaching a wider audience, was never effectively implemented. Content moderation tools remained inadequate, failing to stem the tide of harassment and inappropriate content. Critics argue that Linden Lab became complacent, resting on its early mover advantage rather than aggressively innovating to meet evolving user needs and competitive pressures. There were missed opportunities to embrace emerging technologies, to streamline the user experience, and to foster a more welcoming and inclusive community environment. Whether due to internal inertia, financial constraints, or simply a lack of foresight, Linden Lab's perceived slowness to adapt and innovate alienated users and ultimately hampered Second Life's long-term prospects. The platform, once a beacon of digital innovation, began to feel stagnant, unresponsive, and out of touch with the evolving desires of the online world. Now, as the Metaverse once again captures the imagination of the tech world and beyond, the story of Second Life offers a vital roadmap, a map of both opportunities and pitfalls. The Metaverse promises a more immersive, interconnected, and economically vibrant digital future. But to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past, we must carefully examine the lessons learned from Second Life's trajectory. Accessibility remains paramount. The Metaverse cannot be a walled garden accessible only to those with high-end hardware. Cross-platform compatibility, mobile accessibility, and intuitive user interfaces are essential for mass adoption. Content moderation and community governance are even more critical in the decentralized and user-driven Metaverse. Robust mechanisms for ensuring safety, inclusivity, and responsible content creation are crucial for fostering thriving and sustainable virtual communities. Innovation must be relentless and user-centric. The Metaverse cannot afford to become stagnant or unresponsive to user feedback. Continuous development, integration of new technologies, and a focus on user experience are vital for long-term success. Furthermore, the economic models of the Metaverse, particularly the role of NFTs and virtual land ownership, must be carefully considered to avoid creating new forms of digital inequality and exploitation. Second Life's experience with virtual property and its economy offers valuable insights, both positive and negative, for navigating these complex issues in the Metaverse. The Metaverse has the potential to be everything Second Life aspired to be and more. But only if we learn from the past and build with foresight, inclusivity, and a relentless focus on the user experience. Second Life, in the end, may not have conquered the world or even the internet. It may not have become the ubiquitous Metaverse it once seemed destined to be. But its story is far from a failure. It was a pioneering endeavor, a groundbreaking exploration of digital existence, and a crucial stepping stone on the path to the Metaverse we envision today. It showed us the immense potential of virtual worlds, the power of user-generated content, and the enduring human desire for connection and creation in digital spaces. And in its very imperfections, in its struggles and eventual plateau, Second Life offers invaluable lessons for the future. The Metaverse is not just coming. In many ways, it's already here, building upon the foundations laid by pioneers like Second Life. Let us remember its story, learn from its journey, and strive to build a Metaverse that truly lives up to the promise of a more open, accessible, and enriching digital future for all.